Hi there, this is Carol King, the founder and developer of Custom Homebuilders Solutions, also known as CHS, a full accounting and job costing program designed specifically for custom home builders. I'm going to tell you about something new that has been added to CHS in November of 2023. The new thing is that on our estimated cost at completion worksheet that we've been over in several other videos, or that you might be used to now if you're current customers, the new thing is something about store and compare. What this means is that you can click this and store all these values to compare to these values on another day. And it's pretty straightforward. So if you'll notice on the estimated cost of completion, and I'll just take a brief moment to describe what this is, but it shows you every day how your estimated costs at completion, what you think they will be at completion, are changing basically, or what they are today versus what they might have been when you originally budgeted for it, based on change orders that are added, or POs that are added, or actual costs that are added and marked as done, or writing in a revision that have nothing to do with the rest of these that takes over and becomes the ECC. Now you need to watch other videos, etc., to learn more about this estimated cost at completion. You'll see it in various kinds of videos. What I'd like to do is capture all these as of today perhaps, and then compare them to a future date. However, in my case, I have, if I click this store and compare, I have already been capturing this while I've been working on developing it. And I'd like to, I captured them on October 28th, and then I came in today and I captured them today. You can capture a set of ECC values only once per day, because we don't want to have too many and be too confused about a whole bunch of different ones all day. The way to delete some of them is to use this button, and it's going to validate, do you want to check permissions to be sure that you have a high enough level of permission to delete the day, and then delete all the stored ECC values for the date currently shown in the compare from field. And that's this field down here, because as soon as you click on one of these in the compare from list, it's going to put it down here getting ready to go compare them. You might want to keep all the older ones and not be deleting them, but if you're wanting to clean them up, somebody with a high level permission, or the person that did store them, like here's a different user right here than me storing them. If this user came in with a low level permission, they could not delete ones that I had stored, and I have a high level permission. So what I'd like to show you is, I think I'd like to go all the way to the first one that I stored. So that was on October 28th. So that doesn't go all the way back in time to the beginning of this job. It's just as soon as I could start storing them with this new feature. And so I click that on this side, compare from, and the same list of values will be over here, but I need to know that it's a compare to, so I'm clicking today's so that I can see what happens if I open the ECC comparison window. Now this first day that you've done it, you're going to need to wait till tomorrow and store tomorrow's, and then you'll have 2 dates to compare to, but until then you won't be able to do it on the first day that you try this. You'll need to do one today, store it, and maybe do one tomorrow. The other thing is, some people might want to set up internal controls about storing these things, and maybe you only store them every Friday late in the day, or every Thursday night late in the day, so that on Fridays you look at comparisons, and you only want to see Fridays or Thursday night ones in here. You can see who did it, and say stop storing them all the time. But this is kind of handy that if you want to just see them from day to day or any certain day. And bear in mind, all this is going to do when I click it is only show the ECCs for the 2 dates I selected, the October 28th day and the November 3rd day. This does not mean this is showing you stuff from the very beginning. This is what the ECC values were on this day and on this day. So let's take a quick look at a couple of them. So apparently between October 28th and November 3rd, I entered randomly a builder revision. And you can see here that that's a change that was made between the 2 days on the notes and revise. That caused, if you look at it, the ECC to become the 6,000 that I entered. In other words, the estimated cost of completion went down $786 between these 2 dates. This isn't what ECC is under or over. These two are what ECCs are under or over right here. And we can do an audit if we're just wondering about a few things. Let's see audit cost code and job. And I can see that on October 30th I edited the builder revision, etc. in the audit there, so that sort of explains that. Now I did a very bizarre thing. This job doesn't have a whole lot of stuff in it. This is just me playing because I'm not really a builder and I have to go make up stuff. But I thought, let's see what happens if on this date our budget was showing that we had budgeted $250, but if on this date it wasn't. Now oftentimes people lock their budget so nobody can go change the values on the original budget, but mine wasn't locked, so I went and opened it and I changed the budget for Spec Plat's blueprints to 0. And you can see that here. On this date there was a budget amount, on this date there wasn't, and it's showing up in green. Because if it's a minus amount, we just put it in green, and a red amount means that it went higher than it was before. But it's letting you know why the ECC changed. If you look here, you can say, well, the budget went down 250, but we put POs in for 375. So on this day, the ECC expected value was 250. Then on this day, November 3rd, when we entered a PO for 375, the ECC became 375 because that's the only thing along here, and there's no budget amount, but if the POs become higher, they become the ECC amount. So all this is showing you is the difference in the two ECC amounts caused by these various things along the line. And then this became over budget because there was a 0 budget and it went up by 375, the over budget amount. And if you do an audit and look at that audit right here, you can see that I changed the budget line total on October 29th from 250 to 0, and then I created a new PO for the amount of 375 for this job and this cost code. So the audit can give you some clues if you're wondering what happened. The reason audit cost code master is here is, let's say you decide you go change this cost code to 1116 or something. What'll happen between the two dates where you changed it in between, if it existed on your ECC, you'll end up with two of them. If you go back to a date that had the 1115, then it would have the 1156 also, and then it'll start not being there as you compare later dates. I just wanted to know what happened if you just changed a master cost code. But the thing is, audit cost code master, let's go right here to the audit for this one because I played with it with this one, which is not showing up right now, but I'll show you that you could look and see. Edited cost code 1405. After edit it's 1405. The name, I edited the name of the cost code. This one I edited the actual cost code number itself, but if you do an edit on the master of the cost codes, then your next ECC comparison might show both of them, one of them showing a blank area and another one as a non-blank area. I will explain to you the blank areas as we look down here. Let me see if I can find one. See this one right here with no date in it, framing materials extras? I came in and it was not on the ECC at all on October 28th, so it's just not even existing to show up with a date, but a line will be put in here with all zeros to show you that it was all zeros the last time, you know, really as of this date. And I came in and just posted some actual costs to something that didn't have a budget, didn't have any POs, didn't have anything else at all on this date. So the blank lines means that this did not exist on the from date. Now if there's a date here and a blank line at the second row down, that means it existed on the first date that you're comparing from and does not exist on your ECC on the second date. Remember that your ECC will only show you things that have values in them, etc. It won't show you lines that just have zeros all the way across because you don't want to have every single cost code in the world showing up on your ECC worksheet. So now let's go back up here for just a second and see what else I see showing up. This one is just showing up as 5,900. The ECC changed from 6,500 to 5,900, and it's more, 5,900. The actual costs are 5,900 more than they were on October 28th, and on that day we check marked them as being done so that the ECC changed to that, causing the ECC to go down by $600 during this time period. Between this time period, remember that it's just between the two dates, things changing between the two dates. This one here is just showing that we posted actual cost now, so it was 0 and now it's that amount. Basically same thing here, except we've got ECC overage because there was no budget for this one over here, so there's ECC, as soon as I posted some actual costs, went up, and there's a difference in the ECC. Now let's look here. What we did was we budgeted this 23,000 something, and it was there on October 28th, but no POs. On November 3rd there are POs for 20,000, and we checkmarked to use the POs as the ECC. You can do that on the ECC worksheet. So we can see that the ECC changed from this day to this day. On this day all it knew about was the budget amount, and that was the estimated cost of completion. On this day there was a PO issued for 20,000, and we said that's all we're going to have, so use it as the ECC. So the ECC went down by this amount here. Here's another tool that if you just want to see the ones where the ECC changed, see this one the ECC didn't change, they didn't change. You know, you might have had some activity over in the line, but the ECC didn't change. So let's only show records by clicking this button that show ones with ECC differences between the two dates, because you might want to see just the ones that changed, and you only see those. And if I do a results report right now, I'm just going to see those, because results means it's only going to show what's showing on the screen. So if I do a results report, you'll see that it says job is Lubman, and we're only looking for differences. In other words, ECC2 means the second date minus the ECC1 means the first date, that are not equal to 0 is what that's telling you. That you have filtered it to just ones that have ECC differences here. You can always export this stuff to Excel if you're wanting to do more with all of it. If I show all and do a results report, then I will see all of them, and the only filter is that the job needs to equal Lubman. So you can see how many there are there, and that you could send it to Excel if you're wanting to do further with that. Since I've been showing you the results report, I wanted to show now some reports I've added to the results report. So let's click this, the ECC comparison summary, ECC numbers only, and let's see what that is. All that is just the ECC amounts from here to here on these dates that we were using, and what the differences are. Just the ECC amounts. In other words, it's just these amounts on this day and then on this day side by side, and then showing the difference. Also, there's in addition to what we just looked at a minute ago, that was the ECC comparison detail with cost code group headings that I was looking at a minute ago when I was showing you the reports. I've also added another one, ECC comparison, what I call raw data with no group headings, to make one easy to export to Excel if you're doing things in Excel with these numbers. So let's take a look at that one, and let's go ahead and get it to PDF so we can look at it a little better. Now you'll see how it has the cost code on each line, so that when you get it to Excel you have the cost code on each line. It's grouping by the cost code, but it's not showing you a cost code heading and then the lines, which is a little different. Let's take a look at the Excel thing for this. Let's just close this PDF and leave this HTML one open. And the reason we open HTMLs all the time, by the way, is so that we can have this Excel feature that I'm clicking. And I'm just going to tell it to save. You would go navigate to wherever you want to save these things and whatever folders you have, but I don't have folders for saving those. So let's do that. It says it already exists because I already did it a little bit earlier. Do I want to replace it? Yes. And then in a second you'll see I'm on Firefox and it'll show a downward arrow. Chrome or Edge or something might show something else, but it's showing we've downloaded something, and I'm wanting to open that we downloaded. So there's my Excel icon showing up to the right here, and we see that it's shown up here like this. And if you go ahead and make this line longer, you know, this space, then you won't be doubling up the titles there if you don't want to. And you can do whatever you like with this. Get rid of all the top things here so you make this real raw. We changed the column headings for this one so that they just be on one line if you're wanting to make use of those headings somehow or another in other formulas or something that you do to bring it to other spreadsheets. So that's more like what I call the raw data, that you have less to clean out from the report, because it's Microsoft that takes over and just sends the report over and does whatever it likes. And one thing it does that I don't like is that for some reason it is detecting some of the commas and formatting for numbers and not some of the commas. So you probably want to take all these columns right here, select them all the way over, and say that you want commas and that you want no decimals. So anyway, that's how it goes to Excel and how you can get it taken care of pretty quickly. There's no real drill downs here except to look at audits, and I believe in manage by exception. So I believe in coming here and only showing the ones with ECC differences, and then if you can't just right away tell why the ECC changed, then you print yourself out a report of the differences. And then you go and you close this back on the ECC worksheet and you look for that cost code and you start drilling down on what actual costs are or what the POs are and get all the detail behind everything for what the current ECC today is equaling up to. Remember that some of these, if you jump back to ECC worksheet, may not be any of the same numbers that you have on the comparison because of the dates you chose. These are showing the amounts, of course, at this very moment on this day of the ECC based on various things that are going on as people do things. I hope that storage helps you if you're trying to see what changed or why things changed by being able to store the ECC values on different dates and then comparing them. And thank you for watching.